What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to the studio. Welcome back to me being at, I don't know, about 95% health. And welcome back to another edition of the Daily Draft brought to you by Badger State Brewing in Green Bay, Wisconsin, just minutes away from beautiful Lambeau Field. If you haven't heard, which I'm sure you already have, Thursday, 7 o'clock, I think, the Lyric Room, Green Bay, Cheesehead TV, draft party, round one. Then day two, Friday, April 26th. Um, just going to be an awesome day, guys. Awesome day. Pack a Day podcast, happy hour from 4 to 5:30, Badger State Brewing, followed by the Packer Report draft party, hosted by yours truly. Pick 41, pick 58, pick 88, pick 91. We're so excited, man. We're so so excited to see all you guys and talk ball and have a couple beers and man, just pumped up. But today I'm also pumped up because I got something. So I participate in the consensus big board, right? I send my big board every year to Arif Hassan. Got some good news. Had a top 5 big board in the world in 2018 and uh didn't have one of the bad ones, didn't have one of the bottom ones, so that was great. But this how I find out kind of when he does his research, like who do I like, um and I like Kris Jenkins. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Interior defensive lineman Kris Jenkins. I ranked I have Kris Jenkins with a extremely high second round grade. He is my 29th overall player, so I don't have that's a difference some people will understand, and I'm not trying to be condescending at all, but like some teams only have like 20 first round grades. I think Dane Brugler had 20 or 21 this year. I think I only have 26 or 27 first round grades this year. So when you get to Kris Jenkins, he's got a high second round grade, but you got to rank the players where you rank the players. So he has a round 2, but he's 29th, and that is kind of giving up the end of the show before we even get going. But that's fine. But he's on a Reef's board, on a Reef's consensus board. He is player 51. So he's more of a mid 2 kind of guy. But I see upside there. And I actually also see a high floor. And that's kind of my kind of prospect. When we have, we kind of eliminate the bust potential, and then we maximize the, what I would say the ceiling is. I think there's some stuff to be really excited about with Kris Jenkins. And one thing everybody will note, he is Kris Jenkins' son. Kris Jenkins, the former Carolina Panthers defensive lineman. Then Cullen Jenkins' nephew, Packers legend Cullen Jenkins, Super Bowl champion Cullen Jenkins, his nephew. So that's interesting. 6'3", 299, 34-inch arms. So he really is, I would say, kind of exactly from a body type, the player that I have been questioning why Green Bay would add. And but when I talk about the strengths, you'll understand why he's an exception, and why I think he'd be fine. Now, at 6'3", 299, do I think he should be lining up on the nose or on the one tech? Not every down, certainly. But he just brings something different. And I actually think that pound for pound, he being Kris Jenkins, might be the top run defender in the whole class, any position. He is that damn good. And if you can get him to add 5-6 pounds, that's great. Maybe in a 4 front and a 40 front and an even front, he could be a nose for you, a little bit undersized nose. But I think with his length, right, 34-inch arm, 6'3", I think he's versatile. Could play a little 5. You're going to do some underfronts, some overfronts. I certainly think he could play 3 technique and be a darn good one in the NFL. Now, as mentioned before, when I've talked about other guys, Byron Murphy, Michael Hall, talk about a lot of guys where it's like, well, if their trick as an undersized defensive lineman is pass rush, how much sense does that make, right? How much more does Green Bay need of the Devontae Wyatt, Colby Wood, and Carl Brooks type, especially when they can kick Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness in to rush from the interior if they so choose, and they can blitz Quay up the middle. I mean, interior pass rush is a rare thing. It's a special thing. It's also something Green Bay has like in droves. So it's a rare good thing. It's not a problem. But that's why I'm not that interested in a Michael Hall. That's why I'm not that interested in a Byron Murphy from Texas. Kris Jenkins is different though. Kris Jenkins raises everything that you're doing from a run defense perspective because he is that damn good. Unbelievably strong person. And it's not necessarily completely on the RAS, although he did have a spectacular bench with 29 reps. That was really, really good. But not a great shuttle time. But the functional strength, football strength, his nickname at Michigan was the Mutant. And you can see that. I mean, he does not get moved. Okay. And please understand that Kris is not a bad athlete. He's an 8.94 RAS guy. He's a 90th percentile athlete. He's he's a freak. He's just not an alien. If those are our levels, right? But his functional strength and his ability to not get moved against the run and his ability to make plays in the run game. And what I mean by that is like, and we'll use Devontae Wyatt as an example. Like when Devontae Wyatt blows up a guard and then misses the quarterback or misses the running back, that is a frustrating thing. When Kris Jenkins does it, he gets the guy on the ground. Now, I don't think it's at least right now, does not have the up the field pass rush juice of a Devontae Wyatt. If he had Devontae Wyatt's pass rush juice and Kris Jenkins' ability to defend the run, he'd be a top 10 player in this class. He would. But there are cons, obviously, right? But yeah, I think he's versatile. Functional strength is bananas. Run defense is on the highest of levels. Goes after the game of football like an absolute psychopath, which I am impressed by. Winning defense, modern defense, run through that Baltimore tree. Can't remember the young defensive coordinator's name there. I assume he moved on with because I think it's actually Wink Martindale now, Michigan defensive coordinator. Yes, Wink Martindale, who Jesse Minter is the kid that went with Harbaugh, but really brilliant mind, like well coached in modern defensive football. Talk about the athletic profile. Vertical was fine. Broad jump was great. 95th percentile for a human his size. 80th percentile bench. Ran like the Dickens. 4'9", 140 at 300 pounds. Really, really high level. 10-yard split of 1.7 seconds. This is an explosive athlete. Okay. And that's why I think the pass rush upside is there. And we'll get into the cons now. He needs a plan. Okay. And that's been a kind of a Michigan thing, right? Sean Gary, sort of the same thing. It's like, I wish he had a plan. Maybe Aiden Hutchinson didn't have that problem so much, but it's a team defense a lot of times at Michigan. And Kris Jenkins definitely is a part of that. That defense was not designed for Kris Jenkins to have really sweet stats. That defense was designed for Kris Jenkins to do his job. Somewhat in the same way that the Don Brown defense was designed for Rashawn Gary to do his job and not necessarily put up amazing numbers at Michigan. So I wish there was a little bit more to his craft, but I look at his 10-yard split. I look at his explosive ability. I wish his agility was better. And you see that. I mean, he's going to go through your face, and that's fine. For me, interior rusher, that's fine. I don't need a ton of arm over. I don't need a ton of spin. I don't need you necessarily to be able to run a stunt. I'm fine with the through your face rusher. And I think that's what Kris Jenkins is going to be. And then it's just sort of the last con, if you will, would just be kind of that tweener status. And what I mean by that is actually, he really is a perfect 3 technique from a body standpoint, what he does for your defensive line, some of that explosive timed stuff or jumps. So like the broad jump is awesome. The 10-yard split is awesome. That's all stuff that you can see on film where, he is so strong, such an explosive and linear athlete. And by the way, being a linear athlete at defensive tackle is fine. I don't have a problem with it. Like, obviously, again, I wish he had cooler, had done the 3-coner and had a cooler shuttle time. I don't care that much. You can be a linear athlete at defensive tackle, especially in a Jeff Hafley system. This is a one-gap system, guys. It's 8 in the box, one gap. I think he fits in great. And we'll get right to fit, I guess, now. The only con is he defends the run like a nose tackle, but he's not a nose tackle. Okay. If that makes any sense. If he was 6'3", 318, he'd be Kenny Clark. 6'3", 299. Probably can't hold up at the nose. So what are you going to do with him? You're going to run him, early downs at the 3, maybe move him over the nose on 3rd and long. You have Kenny Clark to play nose on 3rd and long. So the fit question, I'm not 100% sure with Kris Jenkins, but I do know I want him to be a Green Bay Packer. That I know. He would be their best run defender, I think, honestly, maybe even on day one. And that's crazy to say about a defensive, rookie defensive lineman, because that's not common. So Packers fit, it's a weird one because I've been droning on about how I don't want these undersized guys. Then you go, okay, well, Ross, he's 6'3", 300. Yeah, but my God, does he defend the run, man? And he's disruptive. I don't know. And I think you can teach him to be a better pass rusher. So that's where I see the fit. Maybe you do play Colby Wooden on a strong side defensive end and you just move him out of that room. I don't know. All I know from a fit perspective is they like Michigan fine. He's athletic enough, young enough, NFL bloodlines. Obviously, they did the Clay Matthews thing. They did the John Runyon thing. They care at least a little bit. I just wish he was 15 pounds heavier, and then I would be like pounding the drum for this guy at 25. But anyway, I mentioned it at the top of the show. High second round grade, 29th overall player. As far as where he ranks amongst defensive tackles, I would guess it's pretty high just because, I'm one of the higher guys in the world apparently on Kris Jenkins. He's defensive lineman number 2 behind only Johnny Newton and 1 ranking above Byron Murphy 2, because I think you can teach Kris Jenkins to rush the passer. I don't know if you can teach Byron Murphy to help in the run game. I think he might be too small, and I think he might be too worried about pass rush, which, by the way, interior pass rush is worth its weight in gold. That's why he's 1 spot below Kris Jenkins and not around, like 50. Like, I really like Byron Murphy. Please don't, think that I don't. But that's where we're at. 29th overall, high second round grade. Interior defensive lineman 2, Kris Jenkins, Michigan. Love this kid. Obviously, I'm way higher on him than most. He's my dude. I love him. Okay. Check me out on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm at Ross Uglem. Check us out over at Pack Report. I think we got 60% off going on right now. I think it has more to do with like what's going on with the transfer portal since we're still hosted by 24/7 Sports, but we'll call it a draft special. 60% off VIP though, folks. At Pack Report, you can see my redrafts, which has been an incredibly fun series to write and do. Those are super interesting to me, at least, or I thought they were fun to write. I've talked to people that enjoyed them. Check them out. But we've got all sorts of really fun VIP stuff going on. Buy the draft guide, guys. Daily is the promo code. 10% off. That's DAILY. Do everything you're supposed to do here at the Pack a Day Podcast YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, click the bell, get the notifications so that you can get every ounce of Packers content that you require on a daily basis. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, folks. Go Pack, go.